Hello, hello, hi, folks. Welcome. Happy Friday. In hopes that you squeezed more out of your day than the day squeezed out of you. Welcome. Good to see you. It's gonna be quick and fast because it's late, and I was doing some work, and there's two types of people who ask questions. Okay, two types of people who ask questions. The first type is the type that asks a question because they really are curious about the answer. Like they really want to know. They are trying to find the answer to their question, and they're questers. They'll search, they'll look, they'll ask. They're curious, and they won't stop until they find the answer, right? Do you know anybody like that? I know somebody like that. And they won't stop, right? And that's great. They're really curious about their question, right? And then you got this other type of a person that asks questions only to go in circles. Do you know what I mean? Like they ask questions not to progress, but they ask questions to either stay still or move backwards. Do you know anybody like that? Like they ask a question, you answer the question, and they'll come back and ask the same question in a different way. You answer it again, and they'll come back ask the same question again in a different way, and then you answer it, and then they come back and it's like it goes in circles, right? And like it goes in circles where you don't know. You start having questions yourself. You're like, what the heck is going on? You're gonna start questioning your answers and the whole process back and forth. You're like, wait a minute, is there something wrong with me? Because I thought I explained this already. Or I thought I answered your question already. I thought we went over that already. I thought you asked me that already. Like 100 times. I've already told you this about my family, about this, about work, about whatever it may be, right? And I feel like sometimes, the people that are curious about their answers, they really want to know. That's one. That's great. But there's this other, like this category, it's like, I feel like they don't know the question themselves. They're not sure about their own questions. Because when you're not sure about something, you're going in circles in hopes to find out what you're not sure about. Does that make sense? Like if you don't know the address, right? You're trying to find the location, you're going in circles and kind of going in circles and circles, hoping that it'll pop out, you'll see it. Right? And it's the same thing here. Sometimes you're going in circles and circles and circles and hoping that something's gonna pop. But nothing's gonna pop. Sometimes you just gotta take the answer and just go with it. You gotta live with the cards that you're dealt. Just gotta work those, Now, there are times when you ask a question, that answer raises another question, and then you're answering that, and then another. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the same thing over and over again, going in circles, hoping that you get a different answer, or you're looking for something that subconsciously you want the answer to be, right? So let me ask you this. If you're dealing with these two categories of people, which one's easier to deal with? One that's like, Arzijan, how are you? Welcome. Good to see you. So what kind of a person is easier to deal with? The person that's, asks a question and goes in circles and circles and circles and asks the same question 23 different ways and expects 18 different answers, or the person who asks a question is curious and wants an answer and goes on. It's a lot simpler, easier to deal with somebody who's serious about their questions, gets the answers, and moves on, right? If that's the case, if that's really the case, if that person is easier, then here's my thought of the day, if you would. Here's what I would recommend. Be that person yourself. Don't be this person that asks these questions and doesn't get anywhere. See, that's a point. You got to ask questions to get somewhere, not ask a question and then just like be lost, like what happened right now. Like, what good does that do? Right? You got to ask something to progress, to get something, to actually have something answered so that it helps you. Not just sit there like, it's important for you to know your question before you ask it. It's that simple. Sometimes we don't even know what we're asking. And then we get upset when we don't get it. Well, you didn't ask. It's like you go to a restaurant, food comes up, and you ask the waitress, you're like, what the heck is this? Waitress says, it's a steak. It's what you ordered. It's like, you're like, that's not what I ordered. Know what you ordered. Know your questions. Know what bugs you. Know what you want to know. Know what you're curious about. Know that stuff about you yourself. And don't try to put it on somebody else when you ask a question and they're confused and you're like, well, you don't know anything. Well, maybe you didn't ask the right question or the proper way of asking it. Or maybe you weren't clear with your question. It's easy to say, point the finger to somebody else and say, well, you don't know. It's not that easy to say, well, I didn't ask the right question. I should ask a better question. Let me form it this way. Let me get it out this way so you understand. Okay? We just shoot it over to somebody else and we don't take that responsibility. Like, it's so hard for us to take responsibility to say, oh, I did it, or I. No. It's always like pointing the finger, right? So 2 types of people that ask questions. One, that they actually know their own freaking questions. Like, they know what they want. They already know they want that steak. They already know what they want. And they're firm. And then there's that other person who's just lost in their own questions. They're like confused in their own mind. Their own question is confusing to them. And yet they expect somebody else to satisfy their curiosity. Don't be that person. DBTG, don't be that guy, don't be that girl. I'm asking you, don't be that guy and don't be that girl. Be the first one. Be the one that is actually aware of their own questions, aware of their own quest, aware of their own journey. And along the way, you're getting your questions answered. And you're moving along. You're moving forward. You're not just stagnant. Stuck in 1918. Okay? Move on with your questions, learn from them. And DBTG, don't be that guy, don't be that girl. I used to say that, actually, that's funny. I used to say that back in the mortgage days when I used to train my crew. That's where that came from, DBTG, don't be that guy, don't be that girl. Yeah. I hope you got some love, some inspiration, some value. Hopefully you got enough love to share this. Tag a couple people, share it on your wall. Do what you gotta do. Drop your thoughts, your comments below. Hey, if you have run across some of these people that ask these questions like I shared with you, hey, I'd love to hear their stories. I have a lot of those stories because I've been on the phone a lot, like, I don't know, more than like a quarter of a century. But so I have a ton of those stories. But I'm more curious to see what you guys got. So drop your thoughts below. Let this feed grow. I appreciate you guys. And remember, until tomorrow, when we do it all over again, much love.